Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship Finals, and as you can see, my co-commentator has disappeared. So we're going to move into more Counter-Strike action here, and it's going to be Roskilde Ravens going up against SK Gaming, and we can actually take a quick look at how the groups are looking right now. Obviously, after we've just seen SK and Navi go head-to-head there on Dust 2 with SK Gaming coming out on top, it leaves both teams actually tied at the top of the table, both with 6 points each. Although Navi do have one more game played than SK. Obviously, their first games they beat We Made Fox and Complexity. And then also we have obviously SK Gaming with 2-0. We Made Fox with 1 win and 1 loss. Complexity with 1 win and 1 loss. Meet Your Makers with 0-2. And Roskilde Ravens, who have only played 1 game so far, with 0-1. And obviously they lost their first game to We Made Fox. So there's a little bit of history, obviously, between these two teams from the European Championship Finals, where they played in the group stage, first of all, where actually SK Gaming won that one. That was a game on Train. But then in the third place playoff game, they met up again, which actually was won by Roskilde Ravens 2-1. And obviously Thorin has just magically reappeared. Excellent. Oh. You have that power. Incredible. It looks like actually we're going to be playing on on Nuke, as far as I can tell. I mean, all 10 players are in on the server, and Nuke is loaded up. And that game was that map was the final map that we actually saw in the best of 3 in that game, which was won by Roskilde Ravens 16-11. So maybe SK wanted to leave Nuke in there and give him a good thrashing on that. But, you know, Train may have been a better example, because that's when Roskilde Ravens beat SK 16-2, which was obviously a huge, huge defeat for SK. But what are your opinions on this one?
Well, I mean, the old SK lineup, we know for sure that Train and Nuke were 2 of their best maps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think they would have taken either of those 2 maps, even with this new lineup. And I know Gux is really good on Train. But, yeah, Roskilde Ravens were a really tough team to kind of gauge on Nuke, because just before that game, that series, when they played Fnatic, they lost 16-2 on Nuke.
Yeah.
And they just got completely dominated. Like, they couldn't get any rounds. I think they won only 1 of their rounds on the terrorist side.
Yeah, they did. It was 14-1 half time.
So we saw that kind of, even in that tournament where they were really hot and they seemed to just be coming at everyone from all angles, they still got completely shut out and exposed in that game. And yeah, I'm actually quite skeptical that Ravens are going to challenge SK too much. I think they'll be in the game, but I actually think they've got a great chance of winning this. And I actually felt like it was kind of, even in that game, SK kind of played under par.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like one of those situations where, even though it was for 3rd place and you obviously want to place your best, etc., even so, you once you know you can't win when you're one of the really good teams, I think it takes a little bit of the kind of luster out of trying to play.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at the same time, you can't take anything away from Ravens, but I think SK, they've done their job there. They qualified for, although they were technically already qualified for the World Championship Finals here after winning the Intel Extreme Masters in Chengdu, the Global Challenge there. But also, they were playing for the prize money. And, you know, as you said, once they realised they couldn't win that 3rd place playoff game, not always taking 100% seriously all of the time. But let's have a look at the teams then that we're going to be seeing in this game. Obviously, we saw SK playing up on stage a little bit earlier on, but we've not actually seen their opponents, Roskilde Ravens, on stage. But here is SK, and there is Gux, the new man in the team. Looks kind of happy to be there. As you said in the interview, he said he feels like he fits in better in SK. And there is Alan, who has been such a solid player for me throughout this tournament for SK.
Looks always looks sort of mildly drunk for some reason when he's on camera. Just has kind of a tipsy look to him.
There is Robin, who finished off with a few good rounds at the end, obviously, of that game. And then finally is a thumbs up from Face. To see how FaZe picks this one up, because you know, this whole SK lineup for me this weekend has performed pretty solidly. I mean, we saw Gux, like we said, maybe at the bottom of the scoreboard, but still in a good positive kind of figures, if you like 8-4, I think it was, against MYM at one point. So that's that. Let's have a look at their opponents. It, of course, is Roskilde Ravens, a 3rd place in the Intel Extreme Masters European Championships. And first up is Turkish, followed by Z, who really impressed actually at the Europeans. And we have in the middle, Freeze, probably the most experienced member of this Ravens team, and also a fantastic AWP player as well. And we have Berry, who for me was, again, one of the stronger players, really strong holding player and pulled off a good few clutch situations. Then we have on the end, Snappy. What do you think this Ravens lineup? Obviously, it's not the oldest lineup around. You know, they're still fairly fresh. Obviously, they added Freeze into there, and it seemed to make a real huge difference to them.
Well, when they were playing really well at the European finals, it kind of felt like they just seemed to be oozing confidence in every game, or maybe they just didn't feel any pressure. One of those situations, because as soon as they did get into that Fnatic situation, I mean, they were still doing the same things, but somehow just nothing worked, and even their confidence to hit basic shots just kind of fell away. And that's kind of why I'm actually really not too sure that they are kind of the real deal in terms of the performance they put on at the European finals. I think they probably are a good team, and they've kind of shown that, but at the same time, you know, a few of these recent results, like, they get a feather in their cap for beating SK at the European finals, but then after that they went to Inferno Online and they lost to Lead PC, the Spanish team, long before we expected to see them sort of in the final playing SK on that day one. So that was kind of questionable, even though it was just one map. Then I thought to myself, maybe that was the anomaly, because I noticed that HK LAN, where MTW won, they actually managed to take a map off MTW, and overall seemed to be fairly competitive. But then again, MTW have really kind of failed at this event. So right now, it's really tough to know where Ravens do stand. But then again, this is one of the games that's going to tell us, I think, for the next few months. This is going to be the yardstick to measure them against, I think.
And right now, they stand right at the bottom of Group B. They've only played one game, though, compared to the top team, which is Navi, who have played 3 games so far in the group stage today. We'll have to see how Roskilde can react to this second game. Obviously, it's a tough opponent to be coming up against SK. We know that they are a strong nuke side, but they also beat them on this, albeit with obviously a slightly different SK lineup, with Crystal there playing instead of instead of Gux. So, there's definitely a chance here for Ravens to repeat that, and I think they'd go a long way to answering their critics if they were able to pick up the victory here against SK on Nuke. Yeah,
I mean, even if they weren't to necessarily be considered better than SK as a result of it, it'd definitely add to their stat share, and people would be thinking they've got a degree of consistency here. We can expect a certain degree of performance from them each game, and I think it'd probably even help them in terms of their opponents respecting them more each time they play.
Well, we're going to go into the 9th round, see who gets the coveted CT side here on Nuke. And actually, it looks like we could get off to a quick start in the 9th round. One of the Ravens players just hiding behind that box there. I think Alan had already sussed that out when there were only 4 of them. And we are going to see the pushes in now, as Wally Face and Gux pretty much rampage through. It's only Z now against 3, and they'll just hunt him down one by one, and finally they will make it work with Alan getting the last kill. So it will be SK to choose their side, and as you would expect, they're going to sit here for the CT side. Freeze just asking for 1 minute while they have their huddle, just talk a little bit about the game, figure out what their plans are going to be against Ravens. Yeah, and that was a little bit of a slightly weird situation that we saw, against Fnatic. In the semi-finals at the European Championships, they got destroyed on Nuke. Then they went in, the 3rd and final map against SK, and they managed to win it. So I don't know whether there was just a huge pressure against them against Fnatic, whether Fnatic's style is a perfect counter to Ravens' style, or really exactly what happened there. But it certainly just didn't go their way at all. And after that, they looked pretty downbeat, but they managed to pick themselves up, beat SK in the 3rd place playoff. But one event, you can't really count too much into it. I mean, there are countless teams over the years that have turned up to an event, done amazingly well, and then slowly kind of slid away into the background after it.
Yeah, the real key, I think, to kind of weighing up those kinds of events is that you can't live off that one event forever. So what you have to do is you have to kind of almost qualify how well you did at that event with your next performances. That's what really is going to set the tone. And then if you have other equally good ones, then people are going to start to elevate all of them and say, yeah, you really are that good. You've kind of shown it over time. But that's what an opportunity that they've got right now. And I do think that the SK players probably themselves underestimated Ravens a little. I mean, they know how close they can be to Fnatic, so they were probably thinking, well, the way they were smashed, you know, we'll probably take care of them on this third map. So now I think they're definitely, Ravens are on their radar, and they probably do want a little bit of revenge.
Yeah, and the spirits are high there. Alan just asking if Ravens are using their timeout for the huddle. And obviously not. We'll have to see how this one goes. Ravens got their manager behind them. Let's see then. Ravens versus SK Gaming. Here on Nuke, and of course this Group B game could see SK going 3-0 in the group standings. And look at this. This is so aggressive from the start from SK. But guess what? Ravens have gone even more quickly and straight into that upper site. Here comes SK trying to find the retake. Those vents have all been shot out. Alan will actually peek in there. Turkish gets the better of him though, and it's down to a 4-on-3. Freeze is on fairly low health, and this grenade from Wally is probably going to do a lot of damage. Or maybe not. Wally actually sitting back there for the defuse. He gets the one frag. In fact, no, Robin got in there before him. But they still have that one man. Yeah, that bomb is ticking far too quickly. Wally kills Freeze. And well, Wally's just going to dive in there for the knife kill, which didn't happen for him, as he was already ready and waiting. And, you know, SK Gaming pulling off that little bit of a gamble, deciding to push 3 men straight through ramp and radio into lobby. And the cold-blooded fact of it was Roskilde were just faster to get into that upper site. Yeah.
They tried a little move, and it just so happened coincidentally that what Roskilde did was the counter to that without knowing it. So it's also kind of a factor that, you know, once they got into that site, it seemed like they didn't go quite quickly enough.
Well, they can't afford to be losing these second rounds.
Look at all these deagles from these guys as well in SK. It's quite strange behaviour to all by deagles, second round nuke CT.
Yeah, that AK they're going to take down with them into the lower side just to make sure that SK aren't going to cheekily steal it and use it against them to maybe get back into this round. Although Gux is the last man alive and one of 2 players to get a kill. Will Gux be able to do anything here? Actually peeks out and will kill Freeze. There's a man still covering that AK. But Gux will take it, and they've let him come in there, but Turkish had the angle. In fact, Z was there as well. They were both covering that push out from Gux, and Ravens will make it 2.
And actually, in terms of how Gux fits into this team, one of the few players in the world who I would say reminds me of Gux in terms of his ability and the kinds of versatility he has is a guy who used to play for SK, Tentpole, and who actually used to be one of their most effective players. He's like, I think he always has had kind of a similar style. Which is probably why they both worked in Fnatic as well. So if anything, in terms of a template to look towards, that could be it.
So far so good in the third round from Roskilde Ravens. Only Wally and Face are still alive. And it looks like Ravens aren't going to be pushing into ramp room, where Face will have a go with the deagle. But just so difficult to land those shots, especially against a push of more than one person. Wally is down. Now Face is 1-on-5. Now you could even say 1 versus 5.5 as that bomb is ticking away. It has killed Snappy. Where are the remaining 4? And he just took a shot at the dead body. Keen. And that bomb ticking away far too fast here for Face to even think about getting down for the defuse, but he's going to move in anyway and try and steal a weapon that was on the floor, but Freeze was already watching and shot him down through the doors, and that will bring Ravens to 3. But now, of course, SK will have money. We'll be seeing the first gun round of the game, and this is where we'll get the first real indication of how this match is going to be shaping up.
I'd like to see if maybe what kind of position Voller is going to take up, if he's going to be outside again, or whether he's going to go in that mini. Yeah, it looks like he's coming straight into the upper left side. Buried through the door.
Well, That's a great start for Ravens. Gux, though, bringing them back. And Robin had gone aggressive there, down towards the radio room.
Oh, free kill for Gux on a Z there.
Not sure why that wasn't covered, to be honest. Z was watching that position.
Yeah, I think they had 3 people watching the radio room with that. Just a kind of an amateurish mistake.
Gux, Allen and Face versus Snappy and Turkish. Here we go.
Gux better get looking towards that hut any second now.
Snappy's just seen a head actually up there. Gux is still on the kind of ground floor, if you like, as Turkish wedges himself through the window. Not sure SK are aware that he's actually moved that far around. And judging by that grenade, I'd say they're not, but Gux will peek out from boxes. And Gux doing a great job so far in the in this, even in the rounds that they've lost, of keeping SK in this one. And that round certainly lots of kills coming in, and the one in particular where he just peeked straight out from the hut and took down that man in lobby. Very impressive. So SK will pick up their first round and the first gun round. So, Ravens will be hoping that they can possibly bounce straight back from this without losing any more. And they're going to slow it down.
Oh, and Z just got hit in the head by Allen, it looks like.
Oop, Allen's taking damage of his own, though, from Z, but not quite as much, which is maybe the key point in that one as Gux gets 2.
2 great kills there.
Z is having to hang right back, the rest of them here inside of that lobby area. There's Wally from the main entrance. Turkish is actually just going to peek on his own. And again, really fragmented at the minute, Roskilde. I mean, they had one guy looking down towards Squeaky Door. Turkish had already pushed through. One was at the kind of main entrance. Not quite working out for Ravens. And they will go lose another round. They will bring it back to 3-2.
This was mainly their problem when they were playing against Fnatic, though not quite as exaggerated, was that they could never even get sort of a basic position set up to get into that upper site. So as a result, they really struggled trying to go slowly outside. So I think what's key is next time they have a gun round and they try some kind of rush, whether or not they can get that to work, because clearly the way Gux is playing that hut, your flashbangs are going to have to be really good to get in there.
Ace for Face? I think so. Was it? Face, 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 Face. Yeah. 5 kills for Face, although, Eco and the rushing straight through in a narrow room down towards ramp, but still 5 in 1 round for Face. Now, of course, money back in the hands of the Danes, and we'll have to see how they're able to adapt, because so far, when the weapons have been, in the hands of both teams, it's definitely been SK who've had the edge, and they are definitely changing things up.
They managed to get out, though, into the upper side.
Yeah.
Now they've got guys coming in from Mini.
Definitely changed how things are going. There comes a grenade from Robin, who keeps having a little bit of a cheeky peek here up the ladder. And here in comes the plant from Z. 3 versus 3.
Well, Freeze could kill Wally any second here if he spots him. Luckily he doesn't do that smoke.
Wally now moving in here as well. There are 2 remaining terrorist players.
Robin could really help his team out here.
Oh, and he's sprayed, but unfortunately the smoke just too much for him. Let's see what Face can do. He goes to spray at the hut, but Turkish was already on his way out, and Ravens will bounce straight back once they have the money in the bank.
And then we saw an aggressive push on upper. And even though it looked initially like Gux had done the right thing by throwing that grenade through the Squeaky Door to close it, in doing so, when he pulled back, he was looking right at the flashbang because he hadn't seen it come out. That ended up being kind of what gave them 2 or 3 seconds to get into the upper side. And they're through again into upper.
Well, they were. Gux was there. Allen will be watching as well.
Through the hut, though, by Snappy.
Allen actually just dropping a bit further than he expected. Bomb is down in the upper side. That's bad news for Ravens.
But they have done significant damage to the SK players.
That was good play by Allen. He's got Z down really low. In fact, Wally's grenade's going to kill him. Where's the last man? Face will find it. And yeah, that was just Freeze trying to work his way out of hut. So, I know, if this game keeps going like this, we could be going right down to the wire.
And even though they did lose that round there, they still had their chances. They maybe couldn't get a couple of the men out fast enough, or they used the flashbangs up before the players had rotated through. But at least what you saw was they managed to get into the site, they got some kills, and they kind of made some headway on getting towards a plant, which didn't necessarily occur.
Here we go. Wally's going to come in from that main entrance, and he was blind there. Guts is watching right from the main floor of that upper site, and SK will now move into the lead, 5-4. Guts is 13-6, Turkish 11-5. Two good individual performances.
And actually, with the speed that Ravens are trying to push into through that squeaky door, if Gux was to drop on this box here and just try and go immediately in so that he doesn't make a decent amount of sound, he could well kind of cut them off quickly.
We've sprayed so many down. Berry finally gets himself off 1 point. This is quite a fast-paced nuke game, actually. Usually we see it settle down after a few rounds, but
really seems like that position that Robin's taking up. I think he kind of almost led them into attacking Allen there by spraying through that wall so quickly.
Berry's just seen one of those CT players.
I think Allen just hit him through the wall of the rafters area while Berry was outside.
Look at Gux's position now. Really aggressive. Here goes Snappy.
All he has to do now is wait.
Open squeaky first. Yeah, Berry was the man to move through from Hut. Gux will watch him, and Gux has adjusted his position to get the second nod to Z.
And his spray right now just looks on. His silence Colt spray. He's even able to kind of strafe around and move, and he's still he's hitting so many of those bullets in kind of tight circles on the players.
To be fair, Gux and Allen, once they've, if they've got the chance to be in position while they're defending this upper site, have been pretty unstoppable. The only rounds that Ravens have got in there have been when they've kind of beat them to it.
Yeah. They've had to use the spawns, basically. Like the couple of times they've had worse spawns. Look at that.
Hello, Robin. 5-man? Yes, indeed. Good play by Robin there, just to hold that ramp room off. Only down to 28 health after everything kicked off. And that will bring the score to 7-4 in favour, of course, of SK. I mean, you look at the scoreboard, 7-4 sounds close, but actually Ravens have only won 1 gun round here. The rest came from the pistol and the subsequent 2.
And even then, a lot of that you have to kind of credit to the gamble that SK took. And it just happening to be exactly the wrong time. That's a great grenade though, considering he didn't have to lose any health to do it.
SK playing this one loosely. I mean, Robin a few times has been a little bit caught out, pushing up aggressive down towards that radio room. Now Ravens have a 2-man advantage. Let's see what they can do with it. There's Face again. They've pushed up.
They don't
1-man, 2-man. Yeah, Allen, he was spotted on top of the boxes. Anyway, they don't know that, or they didn't know that Wally's there. They do now. And that will allow them to get over into this upper site and get the bomb in place.
Now they're going to know where he is based on that spam.
Here comes Wally. All is quiet in the upper site. And Wally's surely, yeah. Thought he would run away from this, but looking like he's going to have a bit of a peek inside. Try and kill a couple more of these players. There's his first one. And actually, Wally's going to go for it. Starts to move in there, spraying down into the hut. He did some damage to Snappy, but not enough to find himself with a kill. Snappy and Freeze both actually back more towards that terrorist spawn, and SK are going to lose out on that round. It'll be 7-5. I don't know, Ravens, if they can make their way to 6, maybe 7, they'll be happy, I think.
Well, I have to say it is one thing of Gux's game, that when he was in Fnatic, I think he was a big part of what made them so good on Nuke terrorist side though. Like his ability to back up teams, players as they attack like areas like ramp room. I always felt like he really kind of always kept you in a Nuke game, because even if you had not such a great CT half. You always knew you could get some of those terrorist rounds. And the way he's playing right now, you'd certainly expect him to carry on like that. And he's got quite a nice position here at the hut if any of them attempt to go inside. See, really SK should rotate all their other players away and let him just call if it's upper.
There's a man on the outside. It was Robin who's done a great job. Let's get quickly around to Gux because he's going to have a man coming down the ladder right in front of him. And it maybe Face doing the real legwork on the outer area, taking down 2 just before that.
Good communication, because you saw that Face could have peeked out and attacked them, but he waited a second so that Roban was doing a perfect crossfire with him as they sort of spun the Ravens players around.
Here we go, SK getting back into position. It's a slow push this time onto the inner area from Ravens.
And they want to go into the hut here, which we know who's playing that position.
Let's get around to Wally, because I think, or maybe Gux is going to be the first one called into action. Yes, he will be. Kill snap it. He knows there's another one in there as well. And him and Alan just kind of swapping up those positions perfectly. Here's another clip from Gux about to be pumped into hut. They're just rotating perfectly off this position. There's the bomb as well.
Look at his spray.
Absolutely brilliant.
That's
from
what
Gux.
I mean. It's the way he's sort of... His spray is so good with the silence court at that distance. It's almost like he doesn't even have to aim on the head first. He can just move it onto them. He's so accurate with it.
We have a final round of the first half. 9-5 in favour of SK. Can Gux hit the 20-point margin? Right now, Ravens again.
Now they're going to try an upper rush again, it looks.
Looks that way, but I'm not sure how far.
They have got the flashes out, though. They're going to have to go really quickly here.
There's Gux and Allen again being called into action. Wally from the main. It's now all on Turkish, and Gux will push in. And that upper side defense from SK was pretty damn good. I mean, like we said a little bit earlier on, the only times that they got in there, Ravens, when they had a good spawn, and they really rushed in there and got in the position before SK were properly set up, which...
Yeah, that was quite similar to that Fnatic kind of beat down that we saw from them on the CT side. Because what happened in that game was, all you kind of remember is this blur of rounds where they would be running into the hut, trying to get through the door, and they were just getting spammed by that spray. That's such a great distance for so many of the top players spray with the Colt. You really have to have your flash work top notch in terms of timing if you want to get in.
Well, you can see SK there focused on doing the business in this second half. Ravens, on the other hand, are having a chat about exactly how they're going to fix this problem. But now they move on to that stronger side, and that's the position where maybe they can turn things around. I mean, against Fnatic, we didn't really get to see them on the CT side because they lost the first half 14-1 anyway. So it was pretty much over before it began. But the victory against SK last time on Nuke may give them a little bit of an inkling on what is to be expected from this matchup. Okay, Ravens are ready. They're sitting back down, so the second half will get underway momentarily. And Gux, by the way, did manage to get over the 20-point mark in that first half.
And I'm not even sure there was any diffusers there. Although, to be fair, there weren't many bomb plants. But there was a fair amount of eco frags. But at the same time, there were a few of those gun rounds we saw where he just dominated that hut area. They couldn't even get in to just, not even to run out of it, but just to throw the flashes that you need to and bounce them off those walls.
10-5 the score. SK Gaming leading over Roskilde Ravens here in Group B of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. Let's see if SK can sew things up early on here on the terrorist side, or whether it's 2 pistol rounds in one game for Roskilde to bring them right back into it. That's the current picture. And it's a lot different to what we saw from Ravens, who did a hard rush straight through Squeaky Door into the upper site. SK taking their time with this. Want to be sure that their plan is going to work out. Not even, you know, been no contact whatsoever between these two teams. Turkish and Face will change it though, and actually Face has got 2, and Robin's looking into this upper side thinking, well, there's actually no one around there. Let's maybe go for it. Here goes Face again. He will make it 3 kills this round. As that tries to hit out the vents. Gux will take down Freeze. There's now only 1 man alive. Robin came in behind Snappy, and SK are going to pick up Pistol. And that's a real big blow for Ravens now, because the next 2 rounds they're not going to be able to afford. And then SK are pretty much on the edge of victory.
Yeah, this is very quickly heading towards looking like, even if we credit Ravens with being able to sort of scrape around here and there, it's looking like a sort of 16-7 victory for the SK guys here. And in light of kind of the nature of some of the games we saw early, it actually does look like even without Gux playing at his best in all the games, SK have looked improved from what we saw at the European finals at any rate.
Yeah. Right now SK sat back inside lobby, just firing those shots through and hoping to knock some health away from the Ravens. Flashes and nades going in. Robin has already picked up the first frag. Face is there as well, and this is going well. Obviously the eco is in place for Roskilde, so that's not going to make things easy, but they have got 2 frags. Turkish now all alone at the top of ladder as he goes for another shot, but he will be out-aimed by Robin and, well, maybe outpowered by the weapon as well.
That too.
Yeah. Finally find my words. It'll bring us 12-5. Only 4 more rounds needed for SK to win their opening 3 games, which...
And that's not a very positive looking sign when you saw the faces of the Ravens players there. They looked a little bit concerned.
And rightly so. I mean, they're 7 rounds behind. And
this was another problem that we saw from these Ravens players. It's that when they got into trouble, they could never, I mean, maybe it was inexperience, as we might have said. They could never sort of get together and then snap themselves out of it and kind of boost each other's morale. It just felt like as soon as they got into that malaise, they just got stuck in that rut, and then the game was over before you knew.
Well, that's what, I mean, think about it. From the European finals, Ravens only got in that rut once, and that was when they got destroyed by Fnatic.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, it was kind of happy mood because they were winning. And that's something that you can't, you know, it's all well and good being able to win games, but to come back from a bad situation is also another thing that, as a team, you've really got to work out.
Yeah, especially if you want to make it in a tournament like this, because due to the nature of it, unless you're going to win your group, then you're going to end up playing these really good teams before you get a chance to get to the top level. So you have to learn how to overcome those kind of like tough adversaries that are going to give you losses early on. You need to really learn from those losses and not just kind of ignore them as like bad memories. And at the moment, we just have, Ravens just haven't looked competitive in this game. They've had a few glimpses where maybe they could have gotten, you know, maybe around this or then, but it's never looked as though like they could have ever had like a 5-round stretch where you could say that they were the better team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 3 of these 5 rounds have come from the pistol round. Don't make any mistake about that. I mean, the other 2 rounds, as you said, came in when they pretty much beat SK to the race for that upper area, I think. Let's see, though, if they can change it around now, because they do have weapons. Of course, Ravens were the surprise package of the European final, so we know that they can do the business. The question is, can they do it today and here against SK in the group stage? They've already lost Gux, but Z is low, and he's actually now been taken out by Face.
Wally spammed him from the red rock there.
Yeah. And really
and with Turkish so low, this is going to be a really difficult situation to hold this ramp room if SK should decide to go there.
Working all the angles from the outer area here are SK.
And Ravens are just so split up right now. If SK attack with any kind of numbers, this is going to be so difficult to hold off. To say nothing of if any of the SK players kind of hit some of their shots.
Here we go. Nade's going out. Now they should hope that there's no one around there for those grenades. Face has just taken a hit through the wall, and they are now going to start to push down in towards the ramp room as Face will drop that flash in. Is he going to peek back? Yes, he is. That's the beauty of a player like Face. He fancies his chances in that kind of situation. Even when he's been spotted, he'll have another look, see if he can hit the shot. Snappy and Freeze remain. They start to come in. The problem is that this bomb is well ticking away, and they've got to weed out these two guys from the blast doors. Freeze has started off nicely though, and Freeze will continue to peak. But look at Wally and Face, both actually going at it together.
Oh,
Face will move out. Wally's going to get one. Is that defuse coming in? Freeze is onto it actually, and in comes Wally right in the last second, and Freeze will go down.
Looked for a second there, like if they could have just held them off. That smoke looked like it was going to get them through. Especially as I don't think the SK players heard it. I think they threw the smoke at the right time to mask the trigger.
14-5. SK 2 points away from taking victory. Here come that grenades again.
Free salping outside here. He needs to do a lot for this team right now.
Yeah.
Oh, Snappy missed that kill, but eventually manages to get it as he's heading back.
Problem is that that AWP is in play, but it's followed up by 3 for Masses and only an M4 for Berry. Freeze still watching out on top of Red Rock. 3 versus 5. Good position for Ravens to actually pick up another round. But they've done the kind of easy work, if you like. Now they've got to kind of follow it through. Without the follow through, they're probably going to lose another round. Here come SK. Wally and Alan flashing down in there, and Face will be backing them up as well. Here come the push from them, and actually Alan really opening up nicely there onto Turkish. Looked like he was barely even around the corner, and it's down to a 4-on-3. Health advantage is definitely with SK as Face takes down Z now as well. And this bomb plant should come in fairly quickly. Let's have a look at the remaining 3 players. Berry, Snappy, and Freeze. And Freeze's AWP is, could prove to be really, really useful here by those blast doors. But there's Alan close up, and they weren't expecting that at all. I mean, you should probably check it. It's such an obvious position that a lot of the time people don't even choose it. But it's so obvious that it's sneaky.
Heading down with both of you at such close range there, you're just really playing into his hands there. Because even if you do spot him, your teammate's right in front of you, blocking your bullets.
SK Gaming on match point now, needing only 1 from the remaining 10 rounds to go top of the group stage with 3 wins out of 3. Put them up onto 9 points. Snappy has started off nicely for the Danes though, but SK are going to go out and hit this site very, very shortly. Just waiting for Robin's flashes to go in, and he will actually follow them through with spray down through the box. It's now all on Turkish for Mass in hand against Alan, Wally and Face. And that bomb is now down and ticking away. He has a peek, and Wally was just on the corner of the boxes, and SK will pick up the game, and that will be 16-6.
Basically a flawless terrorist side there.
Yeah, definitely. 6-0. And we said that we didn't really get to see Ravens play against Fnatic on the CT side because the game was already over. Well, they're not really showing us all that much here either. Here comes SK again, and it's a very quick one. Alan is completely blind here, but somehow when he recovers still gets the kill. Close range onto Freeze. Very outside, Turkish up by the ladder. Here comes Turkish, goes for the shot onto Robin. Berry's 1v4. Might even want to just keep a hold of this Deagle. No, he's killed Alan, who came rushing out from that main. He could kill Gux with 1 shot as well. But Face will be there, and Face did have pretty much full health, and SK will extend their lead to 17-5. Not sure if no other games going on right now, I believe. I think the rest of the Counter-Strike was due to continue after this game. Here goes Alan onto Berry. And again, you know, SK have already won this game. Now it's just a case of playing catch-up to the round difference of Navi, I think.
And the way it's going right now, it's looking like they're going to get a whole lot of rounds. I mean, they could... You'd have to imagine they're at least going to hit 20.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, Ravens themselves, at times they barely looked motivated and into the game when it was live. So, I mean, in kind of these garbage rounds, even though they should be trying to get them as hard as they can for the round difference, if you can't really motivate yourself or can't get into the right frame of mind to be at peak performance during rounds that really count, it's hard to see you kind of turning it on now.
Where is Freeze? Last man alive. Got himself an M4 and he got in behind there. Killed Gux. Well, unfortunately, Robin was at the side of him. SK having it all covered. It's 18-5. And still, Ravens are yet to pick up a round on the CT side, which, if you follow Counter-Strike, you obviously know that they should be picking up rounds here. This is the side that you should be winning the majority of your rounds, but you know, SK proving that, well, you can do it on terrorist side as well. And here comes Alan, just absolutely no problem. There's so much confidence at the moment in this SK team. Alan just spraying up there. Z and Turkish again, the last two alive. Turkish has picked up a frag. And there is Face spraying down. This is doable, to be fair. 3 versus 2, but the question is,
you have to kind of get a shift on though in terms of the time. They can't allow themselves to get put in kind of a one-plan situation like they sometimes can.
I'm not sure that they are going to go for this one.
They're not going to at this point, too little time.
Bomb ticking away. Alan, Wally, and Face all moving around, and actually Wally could find one here. He's got a man. It was actually behind him there. That was Turkish. Who, he came in with his back to him. That will bring the score up to 19-5. And yeah, SK, actually the score from earlier, which was Navi versus Complexity, was 26-4, not 25-5.
Oh, okay.
But that's possible here as well. Or the 25-5 is possible, I should say. We'll have to see how that goes. Right now, SK are going to be headed down towards ramp room. Only FAMASas and an AK that was saved from the last round by Turkish, and an M4 as well.
And this now makes a game like Cole versus Ravens, two teams who haven't met each other and who have kind of varying styles. Now makes a game like that a real dogfight just to see who's going to be on top of the pile of the bottom teams.
3 versus 3, but Berry, Turkish both down in health, but Berry still managed to pick up the frag onto Face. Robin's here as well, and that grenade's going to swing around the corner. Well, actually, whoever it was, I think Z maybe, actually backed away just in time. Well, this is a winnable round for Roskilde, just to put them up to maybe 6. Berry watching that upper side. He spotted one coming in from main. That was Wally, who will still pick up the frag, but they've lost Robin. But Wally does have the bomb.
He's got 33 seconds to work with, though.
30 seconds is not the longest amount of time, but if he tucks himself in, he could
about
possibly
to
get this plan.
Hot any second now.
Yeah, Z has been watching over him there. Wally getting the kill onto Z. He's now looking for the other one. Turkish actually jumped straight out of the window, and he will get that defused to bring Roskilde up to 6 to the 19 of SK Gaming.
It seemed a bit fortunate because the way he was coming out of that window there, you felt like if he made that last footstep at the last second, Wally would have had a chance to spin and maybe shoot at him.
Yeah, not the easiest of situations there for Wally anyway.
That is a round on the board all the same.
Yeah, and again, I mean, with Ravens possibly going 2-0 down here, this could really be those rounds that maybe save them later, because don't forget they've still got 3 games to play after this one, so there's still a possibility for Ravens. But here is Snappy. 3 men moving in now from the side. Gux is fairly low health as Berry takes out Wally as well, and surely this is another Ravens round. They've got 3 full health members.
And Berry's position especially is kind of trapping the SK players in there, it seems.
Yeah, I think they've got the bomb down there, right? Yeah, and Robin will move around. Turkish was into cover. And the round will go again to Roskilde Ravens as we move to 19-7. 4 rounds to go here in this second half. And obviously with SK Gaming already winning, they've done what Mouse Sports did yesterday, which is take the first 3 victories. And they'll be hoping that they don't finish how Mouse Sports finished with losing the final 2 games and ending up in the 3rd position.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like, especially with their victory over Navi, it seems like they have established themselves as, well, we thought they'd be the favourites of this group, but actually the way they've been playing, they stand a real chance of being the only team to go flawlessly through their group. Because if they can do this to these teams on these maps, you have to kind of feel like they're going to be quite a favourable matchup against the likes of a We Made Fox or Complexity, regardless of which map they play.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, whichever map they play on there, I mean, I think Ravens will give those teams a good game. I mean, it just seemed as though SK really stepped things up here, especially on the T side. I mean, they were flawless up until 7 rounds, maybe? Something around that, 6 or 7 at least. And you just can't afford to lose that kind of amount
they
early
closed
on.
them out. They got to 16 up from it was 10-5 first half, so they just got the 6 straight, closed the game out immediately.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that in the past SK had problems with. They couldn't just close a team out. If they had a big lead, they let it slip a little, then they won it towards the end. If they were a long way behind, then it took a real dogfight, slugfest to get up there. So this is kind of, maybe this is a little bit of a yardstick for the SK side, that we should probably give them a little bit of props, in the sense that they were a lot closer to the Ravens team with their old lineup, but now they seem like a clear step above, at least from this game.
Ravens up to 8 now. Still, obviously, the money happily stacked with SK. Aggressive from Turkish. Bomb is actually down, and Turkish will kill Allen. Was that in the... Yeah, that was actually in the room there, not through the wall. And Face is now pushed in as well. Good counter flashes, and that will lead to the death of Face. In comes Z from the opposite side. And actually, SK have been trapped in quite expertly by the Ravens. Apart from Wally, who came from the outside. Finally, they've dealt with him.
But Gux has full health, though.
Yeah.
And the bomb anytime he wants it.
Gux has made the first frag.
This is a very winnable
very
round.
Interesting.
Especially as both of them are at the ramp room. I wonder if he'll go down the vent, though.
Well, Freeze.
See, the thing is, Freeze is actually going to probably be up near the hut by the time that bomb goes down. So he's gotten them both out of position.
And they won't even know it for a little while until they creep into this upper site and then realise. Here they come. Let's switch over to Gux, because he's the man to hold this off. And actually, he sits by the doors, kills Freeze first of all.
And just with this health disparity, it's going to be so difficult, and the weapon disparity.
This is a 3 versus 1, and Gux will pull it off and defends that bomb expertly to put SK up to 20. And obviously, that gives them at least a a 10-round lead.
And this is another game where,
I mean, obviously in this game he played great on the CT half, but on this terrorist half,
it really seems like Gux hasn't been needed except for that round. I mean, he's bottom of the scoreboard, but it's not like he's been playing bad again. It's just that the other players have just all been contributing in with their share.
I mean, Gux's shining moment in this match was the CT side anyway, so had a real strong game playing the upper side with Allen.
I think what we're all waiting to see is when everyone in SK is playing really great, then Gux is playing at the top of his game. That's going to really kind of set the mark for how good this team can be overall. But then again, if you really want to get that kind of scenario, I mean, these guys aren't robots. You need to have a team who are going to push them to the limit, and they're going to kind of forcibly bring that out of them, the way we saw teams like Fnatic and SK do to Mouse Sports at the European finals.
See, actually just getting 2 shiny Deagle kills, and it's freed up an AK for him, which I'm guessing he's going to try and save, although I'm not sure how that's going to work out, because the bomb has been planted down low.
And plus there's only 2 rounds left as well.
Yeah.
There's not really any point saving that.
Let's watch Wally, because he's the one that could pose the biggest threat to the Dames as they start to work their way back into this site. Wally does get 2. It brings it down to a 1 versus 1. Allen versus Z. There is Allen, and Allen will take the headshot as Z moves in for the fake defuse, and that will bring SK up to 21-8 and the final round of this Group B matchup. Allen 17-7, and Andy had a great first half as well.
Yeah, yeah, quite a few rounds where he just had like the key kill that put Ravens in such a disadvantage. They just couldn't get a solid group together to attack a bomb site.
There's 3 grenades down into the ramp.
Great headshot there though.
Good flashes actually back towards this area just to slow the SK push down. As they continue to move in though now.
They're all Deagles except for one. Z is the only one who has a FAMAS here.
Allen's popped the smoke right on the plant. And the bomb will get planted. 3 versus 4. Let's get around to the CTs. Yeah, let's watch Freeze. Actually, he drops in and Allen picks him off straight away, and the other 2 will quickly follow. Good games called, and SK will pick up the victory 22 rounds to 8, and that's a big, big win for SK, and it will certainly help them. I mean, if they happen to lose a game a little bit later on, and Navi win a game to leave them level on points, it's going to matter, that kind of big victory against Ravens.
Yeah, that's a very healthy kind of frag difference, round difference to be building up there. Especially since they have the victory over Navi anyway.
Obviously, that will leave SK Gaming top of the table with 9 points from a possible 9. Navi will be in second with 6. We made Fox and Complexity tied on 2. And MYM and Ravens tied at the bottom with
you'd basically
0 on 2.
I mean, I think most people would make the case SK have already played the hardest games, whereas the thing with Mouse Sports yesterday was they had played some tough teams. I mean, their whole group was really stacked, but still they knew that they had to play Fnatic, who were a favourite for the whole event, etc. So there was still some pitfalls along the way, whereas for SK now, if they finished anywhere below maybe second, you'd have to think it was like a real blunder towards the end there.
Yeah, I mean, they have to play We Made Fox next of all, and then Complexity in their final game. So you may be right thinking, you know, that from what we've seen here, Complexity against, you know, and Ravens, I think are going to be a, you know, a very kind of even matchup, which will be coming up later today.
I think Cole could even be out by then.
Yeah.
So that could make it even more of a whitewash.
That's possible as well. I mean, MYM versus Ravens is going to be important as well because they're both without a win so far. But that's all coming up here. If not on stream, also you can watch it on HLTV. All the results and groups are available at intelextrememasters.com. But for now, we'll go into an advertisement break, and we'll be back in a while.